financial problems, elder law, criminal law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by THAV GROSS. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's topic is when COVID ends, the cold begins.
Dun, dun, dun.
Brian Small.
Morning, Ken. The cold that's beginning, is this like the Cold War? You know, we're bringing back the America versus the Soviet Union?
No. Jeffrey Linden, good morning.
Good morning, Ken.
Nice to see you.
Pleasure to be here.
Pensanesco.
You know, I just realized that we don't have a theme song for you. We need a. Well, I'll compose a theme song for the show over the weekend.
What, the Snoopy theme doesn't work?
Whatever. No, we'll figure it out.
I think the Snoopy theme was more up your alley. Didn't you used to have a Snoopy sweatshirt that we used to rail on you for? You wore it to the office one day, didn't you?
25 years ago.
What's the
When
name
you
of
were
the Snoopy
four?
theme?
For
Do you know the name of the
25
song?
years, we've been reminding him about that Snoopy sweatshirt.
Linus and Lucy.
All right, when will COVID end?
Who knows?
There's two differing views, but I'm going to share with you one of my doctor client's view on COVID because I just discussed it with him this week. And he said, first of all, this guy is brilliant, I'll tell you that, and he's done several studies relative to COVID. But I kind of bounced this off of him, and I said, is this a fair statement? And I said, between vaccinations, the remaining people, like in Michigan, that are refusing to vaccinate, they're all getting infected by the variant, and they will grant immunity. So between both of those, we will get to herd immunity. And his response was, yes, and even better, as soon as it warms up and the sun is shining on a regular basis, end of May, it's all going to go away because ultraviolet light does kill the virus very quickly. That's why outdoors is so valuable in comparison to indoors. So he was very optimistic that we are getting to the end.
Excellent.
And so
Good to hear.
The victims are the ones that choose not to get vaccinated. They run the risk. They're going to end up getting, they run the risk of getting COVID and they get immunity. But I still think it's foolish to get COVID when you can avoid it by getting a vaccination. But that's a political issue that we probably don't want to spend that much time on. So, COVID's going to end. Now let's talk about the Cold War that begins. Yeah. Okay, Brian? Very quick story from law school. I had a contracts professor. Her name was Miss Finlatter. She was, every year she was awarded the award for the best law professor at Wayne State. And she was the contracts professor, and she'd ask you a question, and she'd point to you. And then you'd ramble on with your answer like you were giving this brilliant answer to the question, and she'd look at you and she'd nod as you would answer. And then as soon as you stopped talking, she'd go like this. And she'd point to someone else. She would never comment at all about what you said. And you'd sit there saying, oh, am I a dumbass? And you go from there. Anyway.
Would you give a dumbass answer?
No, you didn't know. You thought you gave a brilliant answer.
And that's the good teacher?
You never know.
She
never learn.
Believe
That's
me.
the thing. You're left
She was
doing your own juices.
She was the best professor. Anyway, mortgage forbearance. First example this week came to me.
Huge mistake.
Okay.
I just want you to know that.
Entering
into a mortgage forbearance, it is putting a Band-Aid
Wait,
on
what
a
is it?
gaping wound.
Treat me like a
Good question.
4-year-old.
What's mortgage forbearance?
So right now, you can request, if you have a federally backed mortgage, and even if you don't, some of the non-federally backed mortgage servicers will give you the same relief. You can request for up to 6 months at a time to stop paying your mortgage payment and enter into a forbearance agreement where they won't be collecting on it for that 6 months. And then you can ask for another 6 months, up to 12-month grouping of you not paying mortgage payments. At 12 months and a day, those mortgage payments come due.
Oh, they bring.
You have to write a check.
They don't add them onto the
Well, no,
principal.
you then,
Unless-
you then have
Wait.
to enter into an agreement.
Unless the mortgage company enters into some sort of modification. Now, the government is promoting through the
Consumer Financial Protection Bureau.
Protection Bureau, they're promoting and pushing the mortgage lenders to
Be
enter
reasonable.
into loan
Reasonable.
modifications. Reasonable loan modifications. What's reasonable is the interesting question.
So here's the point. Thank you for that explanation, Brian. The
Wait, let
very
me point like the
first
professor.
First one came to me this week where
You're in
my
good shape.
client has gotten receipt from the servicer of the proposed plan. And his mortgage payment was $3,700 a month. He deferred it for a year. They send him back the plan saying, congratulations, you're eligible for our repayment plan. You have
not
12
double.
months to repay the mortgage arrearage in full. So now he has to pay
Double.
$7,200 a month in the next 12 months, and he's not eligible. And it goes on to say, you're not eligible for anything else. You can't get a mortgage modification. You can't get any more than 12 months. This is all you're eligible for. And he can't possibly pay $7,200 a month. His business, he's a painter, is really still not back in terms of what he does, indoor custom work. He's not able to make a living. So what's the process? What do you do? That's the whole problem. This idea that you're going to pay the money back in 12 months is not practical. Not all the servicers are going to do this to you, but we'll see in the weeks to come. It's a bad statement because this servicer is a big one. I'm not going to call them out by name because I'm going to be appealing their case and trying to get
The
improved
thing about
deals.
this is that you're going to get this quote-unquote modification from the lender, and it's up to them what they want to grant you. The government's given some push to force modifications, but unlike years ago when we had the Home Affordable Modification Program that basically mandated that your new mortgage would be between 30
Well,
years
there's still
and
an
40
appeal
years.
process.
Yes, but it mandated the 30 to 40 year mortgage. Now you're getting 1 year, 2 years to catch yourself up.
It's very
It isn't
chaotic.
going to work.
We're going to take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to stay on this. We're going to hear from Jeff because it looked like he wanted to say something. COVID-19 presents a fight for our personal and business financial survival. You have to make choices. Cash is critical. Do you tap your retirement, home equity line, or run up the credit cards? You need the right plan to avoid being wiped out, and you need it now. You can't rely on the government or banks. Call us. We're the experts in financial crisis. We were here for you and your business in the Great Recession, and we're here for you now. We will create a plan and get through this together. THAV GROSS will solve your problem.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirshner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP.
Will I outlive my money?
Medicaid is so confusing.
A will, or do I need a trust?
What if mom needs to go in a nursing home? At Samasco Law, we have the answers to all of these questions. Our attorneys will eliminate the confusion and develop a plan that's right for you. We are dedicated to veterans benefits, assisted living, and nursing home care. Samasco Law can help prepare you for a long future. Call Samasco Law today.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP.
All right, we're back. Jeff, I thought you had a comment there. I want to go ahead and say something.
Well, I was just amused, Ken. I was just noticing that although you're not wanting to mention the name of the servicer, you wrote it in bold right here in the outline.
This one here?
Oh, you mean where it says SBS Select Portfolio Services?
That would be yes.
Oh.
Yeah, but we're not going to mention that.
But we're not going to mention
If that's what they offered, then so be it.
It goes without saying
What does?
what
Exactly.
we just said. Precisely.
Oh.
Yes, moving forward.
Okay, so now, all right, so what do we do for, what am I doing for this client? All right, so here's the question. It's like, well, first of all, a little quote. And how's this? With friends like this, who needs enemies?
Oh, yeah, 12
Anybody?
months to pay it back with friends like this. Who needs enemies?
Joey Adams, comedian, 1911 to 1999.
Try the
From
veal.
the Yale Book of Quotations.
2 shows a week.
Do you think about that? How many times you've said, with friends like this, who needs enemies? But you never think who came up with that. But anyway, that's how I thought of the servicer. So what are we doing for this client? Well, it's still, I see opportunity, but I'm not sure where the end is. Go back to the Home Affordable Modification Program, the financial crisis, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau putting pressure on the lenders. There's an appeal process. So this letter comes out, says you got 30 days to appeal. I'm going to file the appeal on the 28th day. I'm going to send a letter to them. I'm also going to send it to their general counsel. I'm going to tell them that they're being abusive, that they're violating the goals of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and that I'm going to contact the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau to open up an investigation to try and put all sorts of pressure on them and see how they react. If they then send a letter saying, oh, we'll give them 36 months, then fine. More likely they're going to react by saying your appeal's denied. But we'll have to see. Assuming we can't get anywhere with the lender, the question is, what do you do for the client?
Well, first of all, it's not the end of the world. And it's going to be a big deal coming up because these 12 months forbearances are starting to end, as we're seeing.
So I want to know, what do we do for them?
Well, we look at whether or not a Chapter 13 bankruptcy works. That's
Okay.
what we do.
Because that's the first logical step, because you can stop a foreclosure with a Chapter 13.
Not only that, the benefits of Chapter 13 in this case are we can force the lender to accept repayment instead of over the 1 year that they're demanding, force it to be repaid over 5 years.
60 months.
60 months.
So in this particular case, the arrearage was $3,250 a month, $39,000. So rather than having to pay it back at $3,250 a month like SBS wants them to do, if that's their name, where it has to be paid back over 60 months at $650 a month.
He's probably got a bunch of other debts too racked up over
but that's the thing. People tend to have other debt.
In this case, this particular client doesn't.
So in this case, then the reality is that his best benefit is to be able to spread that out over 60 months.
Yeah, it's survivability.
But you know, to your point though, if there's other debt, so people are paying $600, $700 a month for their credit cards. All we're really, for most people, what we do is we take the money that they're paying on their credit cards and we use that money to
For the
pay
$650.
the house. And we'd pay nothing in the Chapter 13 to the credit cards. We pay nothing to the medical bills.
What do you mean nothing?
Zero. They get nothing.
What's that's from
That's
your
from
favorite movie?
Good day, sir.
Good day, sir. Yes. Willy Wonka and
So
the Chocolate
can I just
Factory.
ask a question? When you go into bankruptcy court, because you're a great bankruptcy attorney, do you then get to stand in front of the judge with the creditors' representatives there and say, "You get nothing"?
I've said
Good
it on
day,
the,
sir.
I've said it on the phone before to attorneys on the
But
other
you don't
side.
get to do that in court.
So-
No,
Can
because reality is you got to remember.
There's a judge.
From there's a judge. First of all, they get to say you get nothing, and second of all, bankruptcy world is a kind of a close knit world. We have to work with the other side all the time on everybody's cases. So it doesn't
so
do
instead
you any
say,
good.
You don't get anything.
I say, listen, this is a 0% plan. The dividend is what it is. The debtor's providing their best effort, and unfortunately, the unsecured creditors are receiving a de minimis or
You know,
zero
that's a good
dividend.
point. You know, because they do have respect for you in that world, they know that you come to the table with that's legit, right? And the
Yeah.
other people, it comes, you know, this is what we're going to do. So there isn't any hanky-panky going. This is what they're entitled to
Well, it's
get
also
under the law.
karma is king in
Same
a
thing
close
with
community.
the IRS.
What else? So what other benefits are there in Chapter 13?
Well, interestingly enough, at this point, there are still homes that have second mortgages on them that the first mortgage is owed more than what the house is worth, especially with this forbearance, because you've added
You've
12
increased
months
the
worth
amount of
of,
the first mortgage.
worth of mortgage payments onto what you owed. So we can remove that second mortgage, it's called the lien strip, and eliminate it from you ever having to pay back a dime. So you can catch your house up over 5 years. That works for property taxes too, because the property taxing authorities haven't been foreclosing, but they're going to start again in 2022. You can catch your house up, you can catch the more property taxes up, you can pay nothing to the credit cards, and you can remove the second mortgage from the property. And if you've fallen behind on your car, we can address that through either what we call a cram down, or we can modify the interest rate. A lot of people have bad credit, pay 25% interest. I can lower it down to like 5%.
So there's a benefit on second mortgages. You can get rid of the credit card debt. That money can go to pay the catch up on the mortgage payment. You can do a lien strip relative to the second mortgage, and you can also do a strip relative to the car payment.
Yeah, on top of that, we can
When do you
also
have to
deal
file
with,
that case by?
we can also deal with all that debt, and we can address IRS
And back
debt
to
too.
being a judge. When do you have to file the case
You
by counsel?
must file the case before the date of this sheriff's sale.
So if the lender is forcing your hand by saying, and you're starting the foreclosure process, you need to get that case filed. That's the important
Actually,
takeaway
it's
here.
more important that you get this case filed sooner than later, because these arrearages have added up, and the longer you fall behind, the more money you have to pay back within that
so
5
that,
years.
that 650 becomes 850. Good point. We'll take a break. We come back and talk about more about the cold.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
A lifetime of hard work. If you don't have the right plan in place, you can lose your home, your savings, and more. And you didn't come this far to lose everything. Samasco Law wants you to know that laws are changing. Today, the average cost of nursing home care is $85,000 a year. With proper planning, we can help protect your life savings and get you the Medicaid and nursing home benefits you deserve.
How much can you afford to lose? Call Samasco Law today.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP. Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Time for announcements. I want to remind you to listen to us for Law and Reality Live on the Praise Network, Tuesdays 10 o'clock a.m., Saturdays 7 o'clock a.m., and on KISS 105.9, Sundays 7 o'clock a.m. We have a webinar coming up. In fact, we have the webinar always coming up. It's available anytime you want. Watch it at your home. Just go to thavgross.com or lawandreality.com. How to eliminate your debt and get a fresh start and live debt-free. To be free, you must be debt-free. We talk about all the methods we use to eliminate debt, solutions using bankruptcy, solutions outside of bankruptcy. The goal is you want to preserve your future income for yourself and not use your future income to pay past debt. If you do that, you'll never get to the point of saving any money. Attendees, if you attend the webinar, we will then have you fill out a form and send you a free copy of my book, Dump Your Debt. You can also come into the office anytime for a free consultation. We're doing in-office consultations as well as Zoom teleconferencing and video conferencing, whatever you prefer. We have social distancing protocols in the office. Just call 888-235-HELP or go online and sign up. Debt issues, tax issues, estate planning issues, business law issues, elder law issues with Pat, disability issues with Jeff Kirshner, criminal issues with Scott Weinberg. Just sign up at lawandreality.com or call us at 888-235-HELP. Also, go to the website for our free reports, Resolving Tax Problems, The Real Solutions by Jeff Linden and myself, How to Save Your Home from Foreclosure, Business Formations, Loans and Grants for Small Businesses in Detroit and Michigan, and Pat Simasko's Retiree's Guide to Social Security. I want to thank our sponsors, THAV GROSS, Simasko Law, Kirshner Law. Now back to the show.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
COVID-19 presents a fight for our personal and business financial survival. You have to make choices. Cash is critical. Do you tap your retirement, home equity line, or run up the credit cards? You need the right plan to avoid being wiped out, and you need it now. You can't rely on the government or banks. Call us. We're the experts in financial crisis. We are here for you and your business in the Great Recession, and we're here for you now. We will create a plan and get through this together. THAV GROSS will solve your problem.
All right, we're back. Pat, you said you had...
Yeah, well, it's from the practical side now. People probably spend all of their retirement trying to keep that business afloat right now. They might have tried to borrow money from their mom and dad. Is that a good time to actually look at reality and say the supplies just went through the roof? We can't hire any workers anymore because they all want to stay home and get their stimulus checks. That the thing, instead of trying to keeping this business afloat, maybe this is a good time to look at the reality. Is it's time to go into a different type of line of work? Or
so, that's interesting. I've been getting a lot of people calling about that, and the reality is most business owners, when it's too late, are still trying to figure out how to save the business.
That's my point.
The best thing you can do right now, if you've been, as a small business owner, if you've been hit by COVID and you're having employee problems, funding problems, money problems, before you continue to dump more money into it, recognize that there's an opportunity through the Small Business Chapter 11, if you want to save your business, to restructure and do the same thing that Chapter 13 does for the individual. We can do that for the small business. On the other hand, sometimes it's time to throw in the towel and go do something else before all the money's gone.
My brother's an accountant. He says when people ask him about getting into a business, write the dollar amount you're willing to lose. And once you hit that number, get the heck out. Don't borrow from your mom. Don't borrow from your dad. Don't be investing.
Yeah, you want to limit your loss. You measure your risk, and that's the risk that you take. One factor that is going on here is there is a lot of government money out there. There's the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. There is the EIDL loans. There's the second PPP loans. There's a lot
funeral money. If you died from COVID, you can get funeral money.
There's a lot of cash. So there's also an opportunity that the right situation, the business person has these funds, rather than trying to use them for the business that doesn't have really the potential to ever make it, it's time to wind that business down and use those funds to start another business. There's another opportunity there that people need to look at from a practical standpoint.
And I actually sat down with my young daughter yesterday. I said, thank you, honey, for paying this debt back when you're 80 years old or 70 or 60. And thank your kids for me, too. Because that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
We're just kicking this can down the road.
There's true. That's an untold story. But there's the balance sheet on the federal balance sheet is way stacked on the liability side. There's no question there. Another issue that came up that is interesting. This goes back to the financial crisis, 2008. People stopped paying on their second mortgages. Okay, and a lot of them, those mortgages are still on the property, but they haven't made a payment, and now they're at the point where it's 13 years. In Michigan, if you haven't made a payment on a mortgage for 15 years, you can petition to have that mortgage discharged under the statute.
Really?
So what people need to know is right now, if they're sitting there thinking about selling their home, or they're thinking about that second mortgage that's still there, that they haven't paid on at all, if you can ride out to 15 years, at that point you can actually get that mortgage discharged. It's going to become an issue because there's some savvy buyers of those second mortgages out there that know about that rule, and they may start foreclosing and pursuing remedies short of that 15-year period, and that may force a Chapter 13 as well, because that becomes a big problem. Because the biggest problem is if you've had a second mortgage lingering out there that you haven't made a payment on in 15 years, whatever you owe then, multiply it by 2 with the interest. So you got things to be worried about. Other cold factors. Rent. When forbearance is over, which technically it is under a federal court order, when the courts start processing evictions, if you owe rent, you're going to have to pay or get out. You're going to have to make a decision. Do you want either catch up on the rent by putting it on the credit cards, or buy some time, maybe 60 days with a bankruptcy, and find a new place to live? But you're going to have to deal with that. Not paying rent is not a good remedy. It's going to catch up with you. There's no good outcomes there, other than trying to go about, the state does have, go to miosha.gov and look at state support. Have a great week. We'll be back next week with Law and Reality.